page is getting shut down. It's that for some reason, in the beginning, lots of people are allowed to come here. And then, I mean, it's like I was saying in the previous video, it's just stupidity. The stupidity is everywhere. If my video is getting a ton of views and a ton of people, and then that slowly drops off, it's not because the people aren't, like, this. Why would it be interesting to the first few people that are shown the feed or whatever, that the video comes across there? But then as time progresses, less people are still come. I mean, it's just stupid. It's stupid, and this is how you have to look at everything. You have to look at it like, look past the surface. You know, ask yourself why things happen the way they do. You know, I was talking about First Amendment audits, and it sort of reminds me of the whole pedophile stuff, all the pred catchers, predator hunters and catchers and whatnot. And with his censorship heavy and, you know, punishment heavy as YouTube is, the fact that they allow these things is suspect. You know, why do they let things like this happen? And I hate to say it, but I really think, like, when it comes to so much of it, it's more about just letting us see how powerless we are. You know, how many videos can you watch of the predator going to meet the kid at the hotel, and, you know, somebody sets them up, and they show up, and they when the police come, the police are dicks to the people. I mean, I've never understood that whole thing. If I believe use two of the, quote, hottest 12, 13, 14, whatever year old pictures they can find, and say, hey, me and my friend are here, and she thinks she could do a better BJ than I can, and I think I can do it. We need a judge. We'll give you some gas money if you'll come be our judge. They should be able to send that out to people. And if people respond, that's not entrapment. That's disgusting sickos. That's how you catch disgusting sickos. But yet the Jays that are in charge have the system so locked down, so self-policing, you know, because they don't want it to come up to them. I don't know a single person that if I bring up pedo stuff, they go, yeah, no big deal. I don't really care. Everybody, even the people I think might have some issues themselves, when called out, they're like, oh yeah, it's fucking gross, we should kill him. The sicko said, we should call them. That was his phrase. We should call them. That's how real people think. So, you know, if our government is set to represent us as people, and they're there to do the policing and stuff that we're not allowed to do, and blah blah blah, well, who are they representing when they hand out these nothing sentences, these slaps on the wrist and shit? You know, the thought that, well, they came to the hotel, but we don't know what would have. Yeah, we do. Luckily, you know, it was the cops, and it wasn't some little kid potentially getting hurt really, really badly. And maybe you weren't going to hurt them, but you went there. You could have. And it's like, I have zero sympathy. You get caught in any one of those, any Pop Squad, Creep Catchers, the goofy ass Gordon Flowers guy. Like you, DAP, Dads Against Predators, Pop Squad. You get caught by any of those, that should be it for you. You know, I don't care if you're, oh, well, he's only 23. Yep. He was going to meet a 13-year-old, right? He showed up, right? What's scary to me, though, is that, like, one of the more popular baits is that, you know, they're a foster parent or it's their niece or something like that, and they're pimping that kid out. And for the police to consistently use that as bait and it works, it just goes to show you how often that shit's happening. What kind of conspiracy theory shit is this? Yep. It's conspiracy theory to think there are lots and lots of pedos out there and they should be killed. Instead of coming in here and saying, hell yeah, dude, we should kill them all, this person is trying to make me sound like I'm crazy, I'm the bad guy. Gosh, that sure says a lot about you, doesn't it, Blue Sky Ellie? I'd hate to see what your fucking web history looks like, you nasty, nasty fuck. Because I see way too either doesn't get arrested or you find out that they got a couple of months or whatever. You know, but a lot of times they don't get arrested, and a lot of times the cops are dick to the catchers. So what does that do for you, the watcher? I know when I'm watching and I see that shit, I more craziness. Yep, another person who, instead of listening, I guess, for 2 seconds and then, you know, saying the proper thing, which is, yeah, fuck the pedos, kill them all, another person wants me to stop craziness, the craziness I'm on today. Yep. Who do you guys think that is? Seriously. Who do you guys think doesn't think pedos should be killed? Who do you guys think doesn't want people who think pedos should be killed talking about it and trying to rally and trying to make changes and stuff like that? Who do you think that is? Would you mind explaining how? Hank? Yeah, go watch parts 1 through 9. See ya. Why would anyone want me to talk about submarines instead of talking about let's kill these pedos? Like, they can keep trying all these different ways. But I'm asking the regular people watching, who the fuck wants to, like, why would that be way more interesting? Why would submarines be a better talk than how can we kill these pedos? I mean, it's fucking wild. It's wild. And every single comment that comes in that says anything other than, yeah, man, how can I help? How can I help, you know, spread this message? What can I do? Might not agree with you on the submarines thing, but fuck, that's small potatoes compared to let's kill these pedos. But they don't. They don't. Why? It's all really obvious, guys. Again, it's not like I think you underestimate your own intelligence, because that's how you've been trained. That's what you've been trained to do. You know, you've been trained not to ask the questions, especially if they might make, you know, somebody else think you're stupid or whatever. You've been trained to just fall in line and just watch and do. But that's not encouraged here. I encourage you. Change the title of the live and don't put subs or fake. Why not? Why should I do what you say? Again, Instead of saying, you're right, we should just be talking about this, like, you want to fight about stupid shit. Because you don't understand the title of something. You don't understand how something can be the title of something. Like, it's just, it's fucking, it's hilarious. It's just hilarious how desperate people are. You're misleading me. Yep, I'm misleading you. Yeah. Poor guy. Aw. Poor person. I misled you into having a more important conversation. Oh, you're not going to win. Everything you say just digs the hole deeper. But you don't like that, do you? You're not going to acknowledge that stuff. We're going to occupy Israel. This was PU listed September 10th. Who's going to occupy Israel? Thank you, Terrell. You're mad because I asked the question. Yeah, I'm mad. Look how mad I am. Published. It was published September 10th. Where? Where? Who are you talking about? Now you're flipping it. There you go. He's mad that stuff, yep, are fake. And that's why throw all the pedos high so we can't get them. Again, something dumb. By the way, if you're watching, like, share, and sub. It helps, I guess. That's what they say. I don't know. Seems like the more likes my shit gets, the lower the number falls. So maybe I shouldn't be encouraging it. Read it. No one very talks about this. We were literally going to occupy Israel. Again, what are you talking about? Just tell me what to look up in English so I can look it up, because I definitely will. Israel is just the worst. I mean, it's what we should be focusing on. Everything else is just a tentacle of the monster. Israel is the house that the head lives in. Because Israel is just a name. It's some invisible borders. It's nothing. If you were walking along, you wouldn't be like cross the border and be like Israel. It wouldn't happen. But Israel is the excuse, right? It's the like, people don't talk about how Netanyahu won the election overwhelmingly, meaning the savage, disgusting people knowingly put a criminal, seems familiar, a criminal in office, along with his criminal cronies, Bezalel Smotrich, Itmar Ben-Gvir, Avi Moez, and a bunch of other guys. The people overwhelmingly voted them in November. And then by January, they're going to get they're supposedly protesting every Saturday from January to October, because the judicial branch, the executive branch, was going to do the thing that they ran on. They literally, their whole campaign was about how Netanyahu wasn't going to make his charges go away. He was going to make the ability to charge him go away, just like Trump did or is doing. Instead of, so it's not like they're just making their own crimes go away. Oh, that would be terrible. No, they're saying that political figures like themselves can't be charged with the crimes that they were charged with, which nullifies those charges to begin with. That's how that, like, that's because we're stupid. We're dumb goyim and we don't know that. But then come January, the people decided that they were going to protest because the executive branch said that they were going to limit the ability to scrutinize the judicial branch's ability to scrutinize. They were going to limit it. They didn't say they were going to take anything. They didn't say they were going to, they just said they were going to limit their powers to scrutinize. And for some reason, that was enough to inspire the horrible Israeli people who voted for these guys, who ran under the guys that they were going to do this. Now they're going to protest every week because the executive branch and the judicial branch aren't getting along. And more of them, in a sign of sheer protest, because all Israelis 18 and once you turn 18, you have to serve in the military. You have to have military service. And so that makes you a forever reservist. They can always call you up to fight if they so choose. Well, in an act of protest throughout all of 2023, Israelis were signing pledges that said, if some sort of conflict were to arise, like around October or whatever, just hypothetically, that they refused to serve. That was literally the only actionable form of protest that they were doing. That if this thing that hadn't happened in fucking forever, if there was some sort of major conflict involving Israel, then all of these reservists were gonna, they refuse to serve. They refuse to serve. Now, if you're a reservist and you get called up and you don't go in, that's a crime. It's AWOL. Or that's desertion, I mean. That's a crime. But apparently, with Israel in this little loophole, this was a form of protest. So it just so happened to work out that October 7th happened, and a bunch of people who would have been called up already signed a pledge saying they weren't going to. Isn't that amazingly coincidental? Conscriptions abandoned. Oh, okay. Oh, this but probably has no clue. Yep. An elite U.S. Army Study Center has devised a plan for enforcing a major Israeli-Palestinian peace accord that would require around 20,000 armed troops stationed throughout Israel. Yeah, but that shit's not real. They're not, that's never going to happen. If we were going to do something like that, we would stop supplying them with weapons first. If we're going to then station, if we're planning on some sort of intervention or whatever, then we should probably cut off the supply of weapons that could be used against us. Drones are getting us set for Project Bluebeam. Probably, yeah. It's the whole drone thing is just it's funny to me. I'm someone who always believed in space, always believed in aliens, and you'd be fucking arrogantly foolish to not think there was aliens, all these billions and trillions of other planets out there, to think there's no life on any of them. That's crazy, blah, blah, blah. Ancient aliens built the pyramids and all that shit. That was me. And then that was when I was younger, dumber. But I saw this one documentary on it once. And this is after I stopped believing in it. But it was some CIA guys actually acknowledging that the whole alien thing was just a cover-up. Was just their way to cover up the fact that they're using all sorts of technology that they don't want us to know they have. And it's to me, that's always it's like duh. Instead of because you have a society, a system that tells you that they will no longer neither confirm nor deny the existence of aliens, and they sort of, but they have it as this taboo subject that the government people can't talk about, blah blah blah. Yet X-Files and fucking every goddamn major motion, Star Wars, You know, they love to do that alien thing to us. Aliens, the idea of aliens and flying saucers and spaceships and all that shit, you wouldn't come up with that on your own. That's all just shit you've been told to think. You then, therefore, over the years, you know, especially when you compare it to like, just when you say, okay, what makes more sense? God, the whole weird God, creation, Genesis, all that shit, or that we're like alien ant farm. You know, like it's it's it seems pretty obvious that our society is manufactured. We have all of these structures, buildings, you know, mountainsides and shit like that that just don't fit the narrative. You'd have to be really stupid to think, you know, to accept the narrative we're given. How'd they build all those churches? We don't know. How'd they build those pyramids? We don't know. Castles? We don't know. But I thought they were like donkey people with no tools. I know, right? Isn't that weird? Yeah, we don't know. And that's the bullshit that like that stands for like that's official. You gotta trust the official, and if you question their not knowing, that's conspiracy theory. Yeah, but they don't know. I know, but still, if you ask questions, you're a conspiracy theorist. Do you know what conspiracy means? Yeah, it's two or more people getting together to affect the outcome of a situation. So yeah, everything's a conspiracy then. Yeah, but those are the bad conspiracies. Like it's really fucking weird, right? And so this whole notion of aliens and shit like that. Do I think that there are, you know, do I think the people on the outside of the dome come in like the high-ranking people, celebrities, governments, producers, you know, directors, all that? Do I think they come in? Yes. Because I think that we live in some sort of manufactured structure that is probably like a reality TV show or something. And I know all of you people that believe that God just appeared, created itself, and then created the universe, and then created all that, or that the Big Bang just sort of created itself, the singularity explodes, and blah blah blah. You know, you guys like believing that stuff. I go, well, how far do you think we are today, 2024? How far do you think we are from building some sort of dome thing that the creatures inside don't know they're in? The people inside don't know they're in. Seriously. I mean, that Truman Show concept was done really well in the late 90s. Right? How far away do you think we are from shrinking technology? How far do you think we are from invisible technology? How far do you think we are from, you know, any of that shit? How far do you think we are? It's 2024. They told us about stealth technology in 1989. They introduced the world to stealth technology in 1989. When people saw those jets, they were like, oh, those are the fucking UFOs that people have been reporting for decades. And the history of stealth is that they had that shit in the 40s, maybe even as early as the 30s. Probably a lot earlier, actually. But as far as we're allowed to know, the government in that just that one instance told us that they're about 50 years ahead of us. Probably more. But the technology that's available to the government gets introduced to the people some 50 years later. Maybe. Stop editing wiki. Yep, that's me, editing wiki. Man, the stupidity it takes. I edited wiki. Not only did I edit it wiki, I then also created a whole bunch of news stories that I put out there regarding Team Jorge. The Samson option is one you can't even edit. Let's just show you guys real quick. Here's your definition of Semitism, just so everybody knows. Semitic character qualities, characteristic feature of Semitic language occurring in another language, policy or predisposition favorable to the Jays. Semitism. Okay, do you guys understand? When they tell you it's anti-Semitism, they're not lying. That's you not giving them the supremacy that they require. It's anti-Semitism. Really easy. But here, let's look up Samson option. Let's just show you guys how fun this is. Samson option. Samson option, Wikipedia. Look at that. How do I edit Wikipedia to make it so you guys can't edit it? The Samson option. Samson option is Israel's defense strategy of massive retaliation with nuclear weapons as a last resort against the country whose military has invaded or destroyed much of Israel. Invaded or destroyed. See that little loophole there? They're not saying that they have to be in danger. All the country has to do is invade and they'll launch their nukes at them. But look at me making it up. Well, personally, I don't think nukes are real. Max Spears talks about super soldiers. I think they killed him, though. I don't know who Max Spears is. But, no, I don't think nukes are real. I think when you look at what it is, right? Like they say, it's a defense, it's a deterrence strategy. And basically, it doesn't matter if nukes are real or not. If you believe that Israel has nukes and that these psychos who are committing genocide now will actually do what they say they're going to do and launch nukes at everybody, then it doesn't matter if they have them or not. Right? It's just brilliant. And that's how they keep everyone in that. That's what submarines are. That's what the Space Force is. It's to make us Goyim think that they are a hell of a lot more capable than they are, and that they have everything, land, sea, air, space, underwater, underground. Everything is controlled by them. But they don't have nukes. You know, they're just a bunch of cowardly pussies. And they require fear in order to operate because they can't, you know, they can't do shit. If the United States cuts off Israel, within a year or two, they're gone. Because there's not that big brother defense strategy that everybody's scared of. If you believe, I guess, I don't know. I really do think it's a one world government, so it really doesn't even matter. You know? At the end of the day, how many Muslim countries are coming to the aid of the Israelis? Or I mean of the Palestinians? None. Why? Because they all signed the Abraham Accords. They all signed normalization deals with Israel. Which is, again, one of these things that you would think all of you would know about normalization deals because you pay for them. My friend thinks their nuclear site in Israel is just a giant meth lab. Yep, probably. Navy has a secret space program. Submarines are mechanically identical to the space station. No, they're not, dummy. Do you know how much water weighs? You ever gone and swam? You ever been in like a real Olympic pool and swam down deep in the 15, 20-foot section? Your head feels like it's going to implode. They don't have vessels that can go way down 800 meters down. No, that's dumb. One world government that's fighting itself. The government's not fighting itself, stupid ass. Ethan Moore. Gee, I wonder what Ethan Moore is. Come on now. They're not fighting themselves. They have us killing each other for their entertainment. The thing is, again, if you look at this like we live in a big fucking in a big basically a set. It's a big fucking TV show. And this is a reality-based TV show. Let me ask you, what TV shows do you guys watch? What entertainment do you guys get that doesn't involve conflict? No movies, no sports. You know, it's all about conflict. Conflict is the backbone of entertainment. And it's disgusting, but we love it. We love conflict. That's why we don't live in the utopia we should live in. It's 2024. We have the means, the technology, and the resources for everybody on this planet to live a good fucking life. Nobody has to work. The people that want to work can work, but nobody has to, and machines do most of it. We have that. We could do that. But that wouldn't create enough conflict for the show to continue. They flat out told you. I know you guys think it's like you guys fall for the shit like you're supposed to. Why do you think South Park did that episode? Earth gets canceled. I mean, it's right there. They make it just stupid enough that you don't think it's real. But what happens is the people on Earth figure out that they're on TV. And just like if a news camera is set up on the corner and anybody that walks by is going to be like, yeah, I'm on camera. Once we know we're on camera, we're not going to act the same way anymore. So the Earthlings figure out they're on camera, which ruins the show. And the Jusians cancel the program. But because they're disgusting little Jusian trolls and they blow each other and they're doing drugs and shit, and the boys happen to take a picture of it, they decide that the boys basically blackmail them into resetting Earth, and they just reset it back to where they wanted it, and the show continues. They flat out told you. You know, it's interesting because, you know, I've been talking about Tartaria and all that shit long before I knew there was a Tartaria. I've been talking about resets and shit long before the reset idea came up. And it's pretty obvious that resets have happened. And once you sort of get there, like it's crazy to me that anyone still believes anything you're told happened before the reset. So a lot of us believe that a reset happened somewhere in the late 17s, early 18s, something like that. So to think of any of the narratives that you're given about the way the world worked prior to that, including your goofy Jesus and stuff, why would you believe it? At the same time, why would you believe anything after the fact, considering they've never talked about resets? Once you understand that Tartaria is real, it's on maps, it's a part of the history that we have, and then you ask yourself, well, why didn't my teachers ever talk to me about Tartaria? We had all sorts of unnecessary, useless history lessons growing up. Why did Tartaria never come up? Caucasia and all that other shit. Why, where are these? What are we talking about here? And it's more than obvious when you look at the structures that exist. You know, when you just, and then you look at the narratives that were given for the structures. Look up the Brooklyn Bridge and the guy that supposedly made it. And how he just invented it. He just invented fucking steel cables in his backyard. Braided steel cables and shit. Like it's all just bullshit. To me, it's like the further we get, the further it makes sense to me. So, you know, drones explain the UFO phenomenon that we've experienced for years. We never thought about drones. We never thought we'd be able to just have these little things that fly around and can make firework displays. We just, it was like, oh, but now that society is caught up and we're allowed to know, oh, it makes sense. The same thing with ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT is like a smoking gun. He just said library. When you look at our history and the narratives we're given, and how so many people in the past were these polymaths that could do anything. They needed it, they made it, they came up with it, whatever. You know, Ben Franklin flying a kite in an electrical storm. It got hit by lightning and that motherfucker didn't die? Are you crazy? Oh, the key protected him. Yeah, how? Come on, stupid. Lightning, they say, comes from the ground up anyway, so how would the key protect him? But like, you look at the history and there's so many of the same names used. You know, the further you go back, the smaller the pool gets. And you start getting these, you know, you'll get these people who were seemingly in the same places all throughout the country and across the ocean at the same time, inventing this, inventing that, doing this, doing that. And it's just because they got lazy, right? Or they just didn't, they never thought that we'd get here. So when they initially created all of this bullshit history we have, like I always used to say this, like I always called it the bag of sand theory, right? And now the bag of sand theory makes a lot more sense. The bag of sand theory is a reference to the 40-year-old virgin. And basically, he has everyone snowed until the guys are sitting around talking about what titties are like. And he's like, it feels like a bag of sand. And it's that one line that exposes him. And they all look and they're like, holy shit, you don't know what a titty feels like. Blah, blah, blah. And it goes into the whole stupid movie. But when you look, like, I always thought of it like, when somebody doesn't know something, yet they have to put on a show. You know, when you ask somebody that's never been in a fight before or never been in a boxing ring before to write a movie about boxing, and you're going to get Rocky. Because everybody that knows anything about boxing knows that nobody can get hit like Rocky did and fucking survive. And when you look at our history, I always thought of it as like, you know, a bunch of rich J kids told that they have to create the history. And one of the things that they have to create is the war narrative. And we're told that, you know, guerrilla warfare tactics weren't really used in the world until Vietnam and shit. And maybe the natives used them a little bit too. But the way wars were fought forever was a line of guys would stand in a row wearing bright red jackets if they were the red coats. And they'd have their guns pointed and they would just go in a line. And if somebody had a good position, they could mow down that line of people. And then the general or the commander or whatever would go, okay, 2nd Battalion, get up and go. And they would line up and they would go and they would just get shot down. And 3rd Battalion. And who the fuck is going to do that? Who's going to watch the 1st Battalion get mowed down and be like, all right, I'll be 2nd Battalion. That probably won't happen to me. Nobody thought, let's go around, let's flank them, let's hide, the whole idea of rules of engagement and all this other bullshit. These are all like nonsense concepts that somebody who's never actually been in that situation, but they're told to create and they think, okay, well, I don't know. They lined up and they went at each other and I don't know. That's that bag of sand, right? That's that, oh, I got in a line and then, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And it always made sense. It's a bunch of rich J kids sitting around getting told to write the script, basically. Well, this was a pretty tremendous script. And to sit there and write out the whole script, man, that would be... Yeah, that's exactly why I didn't want to use this. Plastic. They had to write up... This would be a huge... So instead, they used ChatGPT. Or the early version of it. I mean, whatever. Again, if you think that shit's new, you're goofy. And they put all the parameters that they put in there. And again, they were lazy and they didn't think we'd get here. So when they're like, all right, John and William and, adding names and shit, they eventually ran out of shit and they just said, all right, go ahead. And that's why you get all of these similar names and similar stories and bullshit accounts of, they built that building after there was a fire. And then it took a year and they built this other skyscraper in place of it. Do you know the Vanderbilts in 1883-ish, they had their places in New York, but they also had their summer houses in Newport. In I believe Virginia. I don't know. I don't want to say that, but it's Newport. I'm not sure which Newport it is. But the largest of the Vanderbilt summer houses is called the Breakers. The Breakers was built upon a previous, huge mansion that was mostly made of wood and burnt down. And according to the script that we're given, the Breakers was built in less than a month. In the 1880s, they built this huge marble fucking stone mansion in less than a month. So it turns into this thing where instead of picking and choosing which of their lies I'm going to subscribe to, I'm going to think it's all lies. And unless I'm, explicitly shown otherwise, I'm going to continue to think that the Jays that control the narrative are lying to us on every fucking level to keep themselves in the position of power. I mean, it's that simple. And you have to understand, like, there's only one group that you're told you're not allowed to talk about. We could sit here and trash Christians, Muslims, Hindus, you name it. We could talk about anybody all day long. Jesuits, the Jesuits control me. I could talk about Earth-shaped, flat Earth, round Earth, I could talk about Trump, politics, any of it. I can even talk about all the Hollywood pedo stuff. No problem. As soon as I start talking about the J aspect of it, the chosen aspect of it, that changes things. That's the thing that gets you in trouble. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows that you can't say that, dude. Dude, you're not allowed to say that, bro. Bro. It's insane. It's crazy that we all know what the problem is and who is behind it. And yet they tell us we're not allowed to talk about them, so we don't. We police other people that try to. When the reality is, if what they do, what they believe in, if their cult is actually any good, they should engage the conversation. You should be happy to talk about it. Yet for some strange reason, If I would assume, because you see it always portrayed as such, these fake ass Christians out there, that given the opportunity to help someone come into the light and explain exactly what you believe, just talk about what you believe. You would think that would hey, I want to give you a platform to talk about your love for Jesus and why you're making the right choice. You'd think people would be like, fuck yeah, I'll take that. I love talking about my Jesus. But they don't. They always get mad. Mm-hmm. But Guy doesn't ever believe people believe they are superior. What? What? God, the stupid shit people say, I swear. Just ask yourself these questions, guys. I don't. The conspiracy is not super complicated. We all know the conspiracy. It takes it's just common sense. Why would California have the most lax pedo laws and like the shortest what's it called, the time, California has the shortest for you to charge, what's it called, the time that you can charge people for the
statute of limitations.
Statute, right? They have the shortest statute of limitations. Sorry, brain farted there. So who decides that, the law, who makes the laws and all that stuff, right? That would be the government. Who controls the majority of the government? That would be the Jays. Who controls Hollywood? That would be absolutely openly, everybody knows it, the Jays. So it's the Jays who happen to have a book that says if a goyim rapes a child 3 years and 1 day, doesn't matter how old, they should be killed. If a Jay rapes a goyim child 3 years and 1 day old, then essentially that girl, that victim belongs to the Jay in sort of a marriage type of a thing, but not really. Well, I mean, I guess as far as the Jays go, yeah, I guess that is like marriage. I'm sorry to drop in all. But the requirement is that the Jay pays the full dowry to the parents of the child. They don't get killed. That's in their main book, the Talmud. The Talmud says that. They literally have a mention, a stipulation or whatever. It's talked about in there because in the Christian nonsense, it's nowhere to be found. But in their shit, they're specific. As long as the child is 3 years and 1 day old, then the Jay can do it without any sort of punishment. And all they got to do is pay the full dowry. These stories you were referring to are analogies. Now, well, then that makes it okay. That makes it okay. Because your belief structure doesn't have an analogy that if you do this, you should be killed. No, it's just an analogy that makes it okay, but it's just an analogy. Can you imagine that's the response that you give to that? The response isn't, what the fuck? That's disgusting. How could anybody ever believe something so horrible? No, the response is to defend it. Oh, it's just an analogy. No, it's really not. It's part of the rules and shit. Because he's speaking facts. Exactly. Michael Mumford, bro, what is you talking about? You don't know anything about what he's talking about. Right. I mean, there's a bunch of pedos on here, dude. What's up, Smuggy? Mistranslation of an analogy. Yep, that's what it is. Look at this desperate piece of shit. These are the same people that cut and suck baby penises for circumcision. These are the same people that before they do anything in the town, they have to build the mikvah, which is the special bath that women get into. I mean, men can do it too, but women are required once a month, every time they menstruate, because they're so disgusting. They have to go through this process of being cleaned at the mikvah, and the mikvah is built before the temples are even built. Right? Like that's who these people are. They literally their ritual of circumcision on the 8th day. It's done on the 8th day because again, the baby has passed through the nasty vagina. And passing through the nasty vagina means they have to be purified for 7 days. So luckily for them, they don't get it within hours of being born like the Goyim do. Like they force the Goyim to. Nah, they get to wait 8 days. And the kid at least gets to experience love, warmth, security, happiness, food. You know? That it's not, I've been alive for hours. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I can barely see. What the fuck are you doing to my ah? And then they go into shock. LOL, the English language didn't even exist when those analogies were written, LOL. So, of course, the English translation of an analogy will make no sense to an English speaker. Yep, that's what it is. That's what it is. It's the translation. It's a translation error. Because the whole mikvah thing doesn't happen to this day. Because the whole sucking on penises thing doesn't happen to this fucking day. In the United States, they have the bris, and they perform the Brit Milah, which is the circumcision. They circumcise and then they suck on it. There are guys called moils who their only job in the world is to go around and cut and suck on baby penises. How many? I always pose this to people. Like if I said to you, okay, random person, I will give $50 million a year. I will allow you to have, a voice to be heard. And all of your needs will be like you'll live an amazing life, $50 million a year. All you got to do is perform one circumcision and suck on it a year on a baby. How many of you would do it even if it was only once a year? I guarantee none of you would do, well, not none of you. There's a lot of disgusting J's on here. Jesus called him the thing. Right. Jesus, the J. Christians, see, in the whole scheme of things, the J's are the worst. The Muslims are whatever, are kind of crazy. They got sort of real crazy shit. But the Christians are the dumbest. And it's funny because the J's think the J's are the best. The Muslims think the Muslims are the best. The Christians think the people that killed their Jesus, their superhero, the people that look down on them to this day, call them stupid Christians, call us goy, those people are your Christian God's favorite chosen people. Those are the bad guys in the Bible. It's not Satan. The bad guys in the Bible are now your God's chosen favorite people. Do you understand how ridiculously stupid that is? Traditionally, they would have iodine in their mouths or something. Very rare antiseptic in those. Yeah, no, it's not. That's not the truth. See, again, this guy is a dumbass. No, it's because they believe that the Moyle's spit is somehow has a cauterizing effect because he's a Moyle and he has these special powers. It's disgusting. Listen, let's just say I smoked all the meth. All of it. Smoked all the meth. Smoked all the crack. I beat my wife. I drank all day. I kicked my dog. You know, I hit my children. I cheated on my taxes. You fucking name it. I do all these terrible things. Does that make anything I'm saying any less disgusting? How is the messenger the bad guy? This is what the Jays do. Like if you watch the news, you never see anybody having a discussion with the Jays about the validity of what of the genocide and all that shit. All you'll ever see is people bring it up and then get told they're not allowed to say it. Reporters aren't allowed to use the term genocide. If they're interviewing somebody and the interviewer says genocide, the reporter goes, well, let's not use that term. Let's not say that, okay? The narrative is never to deny what's happening. The narrative is to tell you, you dumb goyim, who the fuck do you think you are? You shouldn't even be talking to me, let alone questioning my beliefs, my superiority, my Semitism. Why do you think? Why do you think that is? Look at this dumbass. Ran out of shit to say, so now he's going to just show his true colors. Yeah, none of these people are like, yeah, fuck those pedos. Let's kill them. Let's get rid of them. Nothing. They're mad at me for talking about it. Who do you think's going to get mad at me for talking about these things? You Christians getting mad at me? Right? I mean, Kelly, you're doing nothing but proving my point. You're dumb. I get it. Instead of saying, hey, what you're right, man. We should get rid of those pedos first and foremost. You and I can have our whatever has you so upset to begin with. It's not because I'm saying kill pedos and F the J's though, right? Not that. Whatever your reason is, you should put it down and we should get to the bottom of this pedo stuff. But you don't want to do that, do you? None of you do. None of you think that the genocide that's happening of mostly women and children, 200,000 plus people. It's only 46,000, 48,000. Yeah, sure, okay. You think that anything I'm doing is more important than that? Anything I might do in my everyday life is more important than stopping a genocide? Than overthrowing our slave masters? You really think that me not believing in submarines, that's more important? You sound pretty fucking disgusting and confused. I love when people ask, I can't watch a video where someone's moving. Well, better not watch any TV then, because shit's moving all the time. But again, when you have nothing to say, when you can't say anything, when all you have is stupidity and disgusting support, you start saying dumb shit. It's just how that works. It's amazing. And I always tell you guys, like, the reason that they rule the world is not because they're smarter than us. They are fucking stupid. The Jays are fucking stupid. Trust me. Don't even trust me. Just look at the comments. Look at the things this guy is saying. Or these idiots are saying. Look at how stupid the opposition has to be. Because they can't come at me with any sort of intelligence. They can't come at me with any sort of reasonable arguments. You know, again, the system's not going to come out and tell you that I'm right. They're not going to come out and tell you that they're the system and that they're the bad guys and they're trying to sabotage and they're stupid. They're not going to say that. You have to look at what they're saying. You have to look at, they're so dumb. Listen, they're so dumb that they say the UN can't open up the books and check on the colonization occupation, if it's a temporary occupation or if it really is the colonization. You can't look into the Israeli books because that will demonize Israel. That's how stupid they are. They think that that's a good argument when the obvious response is, well, if you're not doing anything bad, then how can we demonize you? They're just mad because you are an open person and what you want to say, you can, and it's true. It is. I mean, again, you can't possibly think that there are a lot of real people out there that are going to figure out that this feed is against Israel and against pedos, and they're going to still be like, oh, fuck that guy. No, this is Team Jorge. This is where people need to educate themselves on things like Team Jorge. Team Jorge is just one. Israel has countless black ops organizations that they use for cyber fucking hacking and bot farms and all that shit. Team Jorge was just one. And they claimed at the time to have 30,000 bots at their disposal. 30,000 social media profiles that they can just sick on a feed and shut it down. And the problem too is like, again, if I start talking about like unicorns being real, these people are, what? You think unicorns are real? Blah, blah, blah. Unicorns aren't real. I'm going to say a bunch of shit and I'm going to directly address what you're saying. Blah, blah, blah. When it comes to any of this other shit, what's the guy? The best I'm going to get is it's a mistranslation. That's just a mistranslation. That's all it is. It's just fucking stupid, man. And it's right there. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They're not going to hold up a picture that says, you know, I'm a bad guy, blah, blah, blah. You have to read between the lines. All of these comments are, you can't do that. That demonizes Israel. You know, if I'm wrong about shit, why don't you just address what I'm wrong about? Seems pretty cut and dry.
Why would it demonize Israel if Israel is not bad?
See, she wasn't even paying attention when I said that earlier, but that's the obvious response. She was doing something else. So she just like hearing me say it, her common sense response is, well, how can it demonize you if you're not doing it? If one need anything about presentation skills, unless seated interview or program, one would know that moving within a small space is what is taught as a way of concentrating and fluidity of speech. Exactly. It's also a way to keep the audience engaged. But that's, you know, I mean, I guess when you address the comment, I'd like to say when you say something intelligent that destroys what they're saying, they go, oh yeah, I guess, yeah, okay. I guess I can't say that, but they'll just double down. I mean, in loving memory of Glassberg. I mean, this guy is so dumb, he keeps calling a bowl a bong. There's clearly no water. It's clearly not a bong. But that's what stupid people do. That's what people that, like, that don't have the experience say. That's the soldiers lined up in a line and ran out into the battlefield. That's some chat GPT bot nonsense. Stupid, stupid people. I don't support the evils you're talking about. I was just saying Jesus talked about the Jews and Pharisees, basically telling them their ways are not of the Father in heaven, but of Satan. No, it's not really what was said. If you actually look at all the things Jesus said in the Bible, he's basically whining the whole time. Come on! Why don't you believe me? Well, you better believe me. My dad... You know, one of my favorite stories?
Look at how these are now. They're not...
What?
They just cut the tops off of a candy cane and shoved them in a package.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
But one of my favorite biblical stories is, you know, God made the blind see. And see, as a kid, I always thought it was like a revival, you know? It was like there were a bunch of blind people there, and Jesus was like, touch, and made them all see. That's what that was what I thought, just as somebody who didn't know the story. And really, that story would make a lot more sense. But the story that's given is that Jesus is walking around the temples, because all these temples exist, because we were really good temple builders. And the Jays are following him, and they're like, "You're not Jesus. You're not. You're lying. You're not the king. You're not the." And Jesus is like, "I am. I am. God damn it. Oh shit. I am." And so they go outside one of the temples. And old blind Billy's sitting there. And old blind Billy, he's well known in the town as this beggar. And again, it's interesting how he's blind, so he's portrayed as like this leper, this disgusting, you know, he's so bad his family lives on the outskirts of town and they are ostracized because they had a blind kid. And so Jesus walks up to old blind Billy and he spits in the sand. Now, they're in the desert, right? We're talking about like Aladdin, right? So we're talking about some pretty dry, nasty sand. I would imagine it took more than one loogie to make that paste that Jesus makes out of said sand. This is the story. He spits in the sand, creates a paste out of a mud out of the sand, rubs it all in blind Billy's eyes, and then tells him, okay, you got to go wash off over there in that river. Not here's a cup of water. Let me help you get that sand out of your eyes. Why don't we all laugh as your ass is like, there's fucking sand in my eyes. Where's the, what river? Where am I going? What the fuck? Because that shit would have been funny, right? But he goes into the water and he rinses out and he opens his eye. Now he can see. And he's not like, fuck. My eyes. They're not used to seeing things. So it's, what? I'm overwhelmed by all of the things I'm seeing. Oh my gosh, this is way too much for me to handle right now. I'm just old blind Billy. I've been sitting in the same spot for the last 20 years, getting spit on by the Jays that walk by me. Because that's what the Jays do. They spit on Christians. There's plenty of videos that show little old lady Christians sitting there, or Muslim women sitting there working on some shit as some J men walk by and hawk loogies on them. It's fucking disgusting. And when it was brought up and they asked, well, what are we going to do about that? What can we do about these Jays spitting on these Christians? The response was, well, Jays have been spitting on Christians for centuries, so it's kind of what it is. That was it. But it's just it's such crazy nonsense. So he can see now. So everybody's like, yeah, yeah, that's great. Hey Jesus, let me ask you something. Jesus is like, what's up? He's like, did old blind Billy do something? Jesus is like, what? Like, did he do something? Like, was he like really awful to people? Did he steal something? Did his parents do something to warrant them having such a burden of a disgusting blind child? And Jesus is like, oh no 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 no, you guys, this is awesome. No, see, my dad's awesome. You guys, my dad owns a dealership. He can totally hook you up. My dad, he knew that one day I would need to perform this miracle. So if you guys had to, it had to happen. It wasn't, it had to happen this way, so that when I could perform, when this time came, he would be here to so I could perform this miracle. So his family was ostracized. He was ostracized. He was old. He wasn't like a young man. The whole family suffered so Jesus could perform that one miracle that one time. I mean, it's the dumbest. It's almost as dumb as the Job story. Because the Job story is again, it's like so fucking silly that people accept this story for what it is. You know, that some guys were having a meeting with God. It was a group was having a meeting with God, and Satan snuck in the group. And he was like, "Oh, hey, you guys watch this. I'm gonna fuck with God. He's a douchebag. Let me show you." And they're like, "No, no, no." And he's like, "Just trust me. Watch." So they walk in, and God sees Satan, and he jumps up off of his God throne, and because God's surrounded by people that are by creatures, people that their whole existence in life is to say, "Oh Lord, 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 you are the greatest and the most special." I'm paraphrasing. I don't know the exact phrase that they're supposed to say, but they say the same phrase over and over again throughout all of eternity. He sits on a golden throne, surrounded by multiple groups of people that praise him over and over again. So he jumps up off his throne, pushes his way through his praisers, and he runs over to the devil, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, devil? Hey, what's going on, bro?" And the devil looks over at the people and he's like, "Nothing, God. What's going on?" And God's like, "I am so awesome, and I'm so awesome that everybody just loves me so much. Like, check out that guy right there, Job. He loves me so much." And the devil's like, "Well, yeah, well, it's only because you give him so much. If you didn't give him so much, he wouldn't praise you." And God's like, "Oh yeah, well, how about this? How about this? How about you can have power over his life for a little while, as long as you don't kill him, and we'll see." And the devil's like, "Oh, okay, God, I had no idea you'd say that." So the devil goes, and I love the story because it's like Job's sitting there, and there's a knock at his door, and a guy with a telegram comes up and says, uh, you know, "All of your children were killed in a freak accident. The wind blew, knocked the roof down, killed all your children who were eating together." And Job's like, "Well, God giveth and God taketh away." Closes the door, goes and sits back down or something, and suddenly there's another knock on the door. Opens the door. "Hey, all of your slaves were killed in another freak accident." "Well, dust to dust, earth to earth, we know, blah, 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 whatever he says. Closes the door. Now, you would think he'd probably, like, look to see if anyone else was another telegram guy was walking up. Closes the door. Suddenly there's another knock on the door, and it's another thing. And like, all this shit happens, and bad shit happens. And so the devil, so then time's passed, and the devil has gotten back in there, and God's like, hey, devil, see, he still praises me. See, you did all that shit, and he still praises me. I told you. And he's like, yeah, well, watch this, guys. You still let him have all his health, and like, you still let him have some good shit. I didn't take like everything away from him. And God's like, fine. Do your worst. Just don't kill him. So, devil makes him a leper, and just all this crazy shit happens. And he still praise you, God, and finally it's like, see, after all that, Job still praised God. God showed the devil. It's the dumbest shit. Let's see. Australian whistleblower exposes Israel yeshiva military academies. He was the first person arrested under the anti-Semitic laws 13 years ago. Brendan O'Connell. He does really good work. Brendan O'Connell. Because, for some reason, 130 some years, or 230 some years, whatever it is, the English monarchy decided they didn't want the Irish around anymore. So they put them on boats and took them all the way to Paradise, Australia, where they dropped them off. And it was actually like a prison colony, where it was nothing but prisoners and aboriginals. And yet Australia today is a first world country. That totally makes sense. Oh, he was a carpenter. Yep, sure he was. In their times, it was assumed that spit had healing properties, and also spit from a pious people and fasting people was even more so. So it was common tradition to use spit for healing. Right. Yep, that's what it is. Back then.
That wasn't old school.
Yeah, spit in the dirt and then rub dirt in somebody's eyes. That sounds like a good idea.
No, but like bee stings and stuff. Yeah,
I don't care who your God is. My belief is earth, air, water, fire, fifth element. LOL. Well, you and my wife would get along. But you have a selfish point of view. Because I do care who you claim your God is, and then use that nonsense to oppress people. That really makes me angry. Who cares what you believe in? Who cares what you believe in? Believe. And respect everyone, all the gods. Once you die, who cares? Again, that sounds pretty fucking selfish and stupid. And I know you don't think that way. You don't respect Muslim gods like you would respect the Christian gods. You're not required to. But I don't understand. So you're saying if I suddenly say I believe in Steve is the ultimate being in the universe, and Steve has magic powers, and Steve gives me the right to oppress you and your people, and Steve actually says I can steal from people named Kelly without getting in trouble. You're going to be like, well, respect his beliefs. Do you respect the belief of the suicide bomber where you are? Say you're at the place and they show up with their suicide bomb and they're like, everybody, Allah Akbar, and they pull out shit and you go, oh, everybody calm down and respect his beliefs. Hey, you got to go sometime, right? Am I right? Respect his beliefs. He's doing it because he believes in his God. So who cares? Everybody just go. You know what? You're about to meet your God. So everybody put your seatbelts on. Here we go. Go ahead. Allahu Akbar. Just don't disrespect what anybody believes. How can I disrespect what you believe? How did you sound? I say, if what you believe in is the truth, then why do you need me to agree with you? Why do you need me to not talk about any of the disrespectful things? I love that whole concept. It's crazy how we've been raised to think, right? I can't shame you for being too good looking. I can't shame you for being too smart. I can't even really shame you for being too skinny. Like even my wife and I, we get that kind of shit, that skinny shaming. But at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I wish I had some more meat on my bones, but at least I'm not a fucking walrus. You know, like as bad as much as I want to have huge pectoral muscles, I'm okay with it because I don't have boobs. You know? Basically what it comes down to, these aren't the ones I want.
You can have all the
I'll take these two. You can have the candy. But it's like this whole bullshit narrative that's been pushed on us. You know who benefits the most from the PC movement? The Jays. They're the only ones that have had like this total acceptance of their PC rights. Women still get oppressed, still a bunch of racism, still a bunch of homophobia. But the Jays, we all know we're not allowed to talk about the Jays. But just like the whole disrespecting your beliefs, I can't disrespect your beliefs. Just like I can't demonize you unless you're doing bad shit. How can I disrespect your beliefs? And why, again, why would it even matter? I'm supposedly wrong, right? I'm supposedly wrong. So me being wrong means you're right, and you should be able to explain your beliefs more thoroughly. I love how people always call it some sort of disrespect, asking them to explain it. Why would you believe in such, like, you know how as a Christian, you look at Muslims and Islam and Hindus and pagans and anyone else as being absolute lunatics? How could they believe such crazy shit? Understand that, like Ricky Gervais says, there are 3,000 religions out there, and you choose to believe in one of them. Unlike you, who believes in one and doesn't believe in 999, I believe in 3,000 not being real. I just believe one more thing isn't real than you do. And I believe your thing isn't real for the same reasons you believe all the other things aren't real, because they're stupid and they don't make any sense. But I have to say, and Jesus saved me. What? I like your train of thought. We think about similar things. In spite of that, I'm still a Christian. I hope you have a good day. I would like to have a conversation with you. You could anytime you wanted to. That's what this is for. But see, it's funny because it's like always when people then do that identify thing, then they leave. The fuck you leaving for, man? You just made it interesting. I want to know why you're a Christian. Do you know why you're a Christian?
I'm born that way.
Seriously. Have you sat there and studied all of the other religions you could possibly get your hands on and decided that you were going to go with the second tier version of your own religion? Because Jays are like the first tier. So why you wouldn't, if you're going to pick one, go with the J version that gives you all the power and advancement and opportunity and all that shit? Why wouldn't you go with that one? I don't understand that part. But it's not like you've studied all these things. It's not like you've answered all the questions that I've given you or any of that shit. And you've put in this painstaking effort, and after all this research and all this other shit, you like, no, Christianity makes the most sense. And here, let me explain why. That's never how it goes. Never. God did not make a pedo a prophet. There is no God. And God, by your own accounts, by your own beliefs, God makes lots of pedos. You know, every like, you know how porn nowadays has like ultra K 4 HD hyper super duper. You can pause it, you can move the camera around, you can zoom in, you can get this close, see whatever you want, right? Your God, according to your beliefs, has this view of children being violated by clergy on a daily basis and does nothing about it. He's seeing all the blood, all the tearing, all the fucking screams, the cries. I mean, I would assume the child that's being violated is praying like none of us have ever prayed before, that God, please rescue him from what's happening to him right now. This is awful. But guess what your God has never done in the history of Goddom? Never in the history has a police officer been driving down the street, driving through a neighborhood, whatever, suddenly been struck by the Holy Ghost, slam on his fucking brakes, jump out of his car, warrant or not, kick down a door, and bust a pedo ring, saving 10, 15 children, whatever. And then when they're like, he didn't have a warrant. Yeah, but what happened? Well, I was just driving and the Holy Ghost hit me. Told me that this was happening. I'm willing to die for this. I'll put my shield down if I have to. But what I did was right because Jesus told me to do it and I did it. How else would you explain how I did it? How else did I know that this house that had been here forever, that I've driven past 100 times, never had this? Suddenly the Holy Ghost told me, go kick that door in. It's never fucking happened. Why not? Because either your God is a huge pedo fan or he doesn't exist. Which one do you think it is, Carl? I want to get my Bible now. You should. You should get it and burn that shit. It's great paper for burning. Don't call me selfish. I'm sharing my love and my beliefs to whoever wants to believe in whoever their God is. How is that selfish? Well, it's funny. The people that always have something to say like that, like you should respect people's beliefs, how come my non-beliefs never get respected? How come the Christians only bring up that respect other people's belief shit when you start shitting on their thing? And by shitting on it, I simply mean pointing out the fucking disgusting truth associated with it. But it's funny how the atheist point of view, the person who doesn't believe or who does believe that pedos should die and that your religion is crap slavery and it's designed to keep you stupid and keep you the dumb slaves you are and blah, blah, blah. Again, you're dumb enough to think the bad guys of your Bible, a completely different religion, is your God's favorite people, chosen people. They put their book in the front, the Old Testament. That's not your book. You got to read through the Old Testament to get to your book. If you got a job at McDonald's and every handbook you read, the first 4 chapters were all about Burger King, would you start to wonder who really owns McDonald's? Or would you just be like, yeah, learned about Burger King today, but I'm a McDonald's guy. I'm gonna die on that hill. Like it's just fucking stupid. This guy is so brainwashed. I'm brainwashed because I don't.
By whom?
I don't believe in the narrative.
By whom?
Who
You have to have somebody leading the pack to do the brainwashing. So
Right.
who's doing his brainwashing?
Who or what am I being brainwashed
Because I
by?
live with him, and there's not one specific person he ever talks about, watches, reads up on. Like,
Made that mistake already. I told you guys to stop listening to me and put all your efforts in Ken O'Keefe. And I said he was doing it better than anybody else, and fucking A. That was in 2016. At the same time, I told you guys to support Brian Mullen. Both of which are agents. Brian Mullen, I exposed Brian Mullen. Brian Mullen came out of hiding because of what I did. You can go find the videos in my history. And you'll see how he 100% responded. He came out of hiding to respond to me. The website that represented the company that he supposedly worked for. R-Teen Engineers. R-Teen Airtay. They had the same exact website for 4 or 5 years. And when I exposed it, they made these changes. There's a whole video on it. Go check it out. Oh God, the dumb Jay's back. Can't imagine you're gonna say anything good. You believe in the narratives of people brainwashed. This person said, LOL, LOL, LOL. You believe in the narrative of the people that brainwashed.
that do the brainwashing, I think, is what they're.
No, we're going off of what they said. Boy, that's smart. Holy fuck, dude. You are contradictor. I said there are many gods, and now you're saying the are many guards. You would think if people are trying to have a conversation in this fashion, that you would take the 2 seconds to reread what you type before you hit send. Especially since I'm the one that's supposed to be stupid and wrong. You're trying to expose that I'm inferior, that your superior intellect is the right one here. Will you put the T on, please? You can take it. He hadn't talked about anyone. I mean, this is just stupid. I'm a Christian. I don't hate on you for what you believe. I encourage questioning everything. Yeah, but why are you a Christian? Again, you don't want to answer that question. Let's say you're right. So, why do they molest kids? What's the purpose? What's the reason? People don't do things for no reason. Because they're sick. Because that's how, because being a pedo is an orientation. You don't become a pedo. Nothing happens to you that makes you a pedo. What I think is that, you know how, if you're a straight man, you can see another dude, a kid, and you'll be like, that kid's going to be a little lady killer when he gets up. You could just see that about them. You recognize little things that they do as a straight man that a gay man might not recognize, right? Or, at the same time, if a kid is super gay, you can tell. But if you ask a gay dude, gay dudes will pick up on little things about a kid that a straight dude wouldn't pick up if that kid was going to be gay. What if pedos are the same way? What if the reason why pedos have such a high success rate at violating people who end up violating children themselves, not all the time, which means they get it wrong sometimes, but what if they're picking up on something that the rest of us don't pick up on because we're not like that? And so if we had a more open viewpoint and look at things, maybe we could understand things. If we weren't so close-minded and stupid, yeah, you can't be gay. Gay is bad. Like the stupidity is the whole idea that gay is associated with pedo is wrong. There are way more straight guys violating children than anyone else. Straight white Christians violating children than anyone else. But you guys don't like that. And what's the reason? I'm sure those elites, I mean, adrenochrome wouldn't be a thing if it wasn't a thing. You know, millions, how many children go missing every year? How many children go missing in the United States every year? In the United States, over 800,000 children are reported missing each year, and another 500,000 go missing without being reported. This means that a child goes missing every 40 seconds in the United States. Most reports of missing children or abducted children are resolved within hours. What's that? What's most? 203,900 children were victims of family abductions, and 58,000 were victims of non-family abductions. 30% of missing children are being trafficked, which is about 109,000 children. The average age of a trafficked child is 15 years old. So, and that, again, these are just the reported numbers. There are many, many that go unreported and are never heard from again. Well, where do they go? There's probably a good chance that within a few miles of your house, a mile or two, somebody has a child being held against their will. Has someone being held against their will. But again, to blame it all on the adrenochrome thing, that's foolish. No, there's just sick people out there. And see, one of the things that they like to do is trick you. It's like how so many truthers believe that the bad guys are Satan worshipers. First of all, tons of people, especially fat black women, if you say something has to do with Satan, they go, oh, Lord, Lord, Lord. No, 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 I don't even want to hear about it. Oh, no. So that's going to keep people away. But it's like one of their greatest things that they do is getting us to focus on invisible shit. It's not the government, it's not the Hollywood, it's not the people that we can see, the Jays that are in all of these superpower positions that keep getting busted doing these same things, and then their book backs them doing it, and blah blah blah. It's not that. It's the devil. It's the invisible devil. They love having us focused on invisible shit. Invisible germs gonna get you sick. Invisible germs floating around. COVID sauce on everything. Gonna get you sick. Unless your invisible immune system. What's your immune system? What is it again? Do you know? Do you know what being an immune system, what your immune system is? Can you point to it? Being a brother, another general, stop. Yep, right. It's not the Jays that make all the laws. It's not the Jays that make the laws that protect all these pedos. It's not the Jays that are constantly being caught in these huge rings. I mean, if you watch the old TCAP stuff, we're talking about 0.183% of the world's population, 2 to 4% of the U.S. population. The disproportionate number of Jays caught by TCAP just shows you how disgusting it is. And again, their book says it's okay as long as the girl is 3 years and 1 day old. She now belongs to her rapist. You can't just pick and choose with that shit. It's. I'm gonna cut off the head of the monster. I don't want to keep talking about the tentacles. Sorry. Yeah, there are lots of other pedos in lots of other places. But until we cut off the head of the monster that prevents us from being able to do anything about it, it's going to keep happening. You know, it's this level of stupidity that it's so frustrating and so like. I mean, it's telling. At the end of the day, that's all it is. You know, there seems to be some pretty obvious, straightforward answers to these questions. And instead of giving that, like, oh, well, it's a mistranslation, and oh, shut the fuck up. If you don't adamantly and violently, vehemently support the destruction of pedos, then you support them. That simple. But it's the same. This Naomi profile has been here for weeks and weeks, crying about every little thing I have to say. Because I'm wrong, right? That's how that works. That's what you do. When you don't like somebody, you just watch them and watch them and watch them and watch them. Hours on end. Come on. Anyway, as always, you pedos, you kill yourselves. And don't forget to get your free download, obviously. The link is in the description. It's free. Just just put 0 in the payment box when it asks how much you want to pay. It's free. There's also a link to the Facebook page. Go follow. If I'm not live here, I'm live there. So, again, pedophiles, kill yourself.